The galaxy was silent when the alien vessel sent a simple hail toward the small blue planet called Earth. It was meant to be harmless, just a test signal, a harmless ping across space. But in that moment, something shifted, something old, something powerful. And no one in the galaxy was ready for what would answer. Commander Varen of the Zethar Dominion watched the signal leave their long-range array. It was a thin beam of coded greetings, nothing more. His crew relaxed, joking that Earth was a primitive world, a place with no seat in the Galactic Council, no real influence, no advanced fleet. They expected silence. Or maybe a confused reply from an outdated human transmitter. But instead, everything stopped. Moments after the signal reached Earth, the room around Varen turned cold. Their ship lights flickered. Every console froze. The crew stared at their screens as a new message forced itself into their system. Something so strong it bypassed their firewalls like they did not exist. A single symbol appeared. The crest of humanity's Supreme Council. No one in the galaxy had seen that symbol used in hundreds of years. Many believed the Supreme Council was only a myth, a story told to warn young commanders not to provoke humans. But the message was real. Then a voice arrived, calm, cold, and powerful. This is the Supreme Council of Earth. Your unauthorized hail has been recorded. State your purpose or prepare for consequences. The Zethar crew felt their chest tighten. This wasn't the reply of a weak species. This was the voice of something ancient, disciplined, and dangerous. Commander Varen tried to speak, but before he could answer, the stars outside shifted. Something massive was coming. The crew realized with horror, Earth was not alone. Earth was prepared. Commander Varen stood frozen as the starfield outside their ship twisted like ripples on water. It was not an illusion. Something enormous was exiting faster than light travel. Something far more advanced than anything the Zethar Dominion had ever witnessed. The crew gathered near the viewing glass, their breaths shallow. One by one, colossal silhouettes emerged from the distortion, hulls dark as midnight, engines glowing with deep blue fire, sharp wings, heavy armor, and markings none of them recognized. These were not civilian ships. These were warships. And they were human. No one had ever recorded a human fleet this size. No one even believed humanity still possessed such power. Most species thought Earth stayed silent because it was weak or isolated. But now the truth was clear. Earth was silent because it was hiding something. A deep voice echoed again through the Zethar systems. This is the Supreme Council. You sent an unauthorized signal. You will hold your position. The order struck like a punch. Even battle-hardened officers felt their legs weaken. The human dreadnought at the front slowly turned toward them, its massive cannons aligning with perfect precision. It was not attacking, but it was watching, analyzing, calculating. "Commander," whispered the sensor officer, his eyes wide. "These readings, this fleet, is beyond anything we know. Their power output, it's impossible." Another officer added, "Humans shouldn't have this technology." Varen swallowed hard. "Yet they do." Silence filled the bridge. Then, unexpectedly, more human ships appeared. Smaller ones, escort vessels, scanning drones, and stealth cruisers gliding like shadows. They moved with absolute synchronization, as a control by one mind. A transmission followed, short, cold, absolute. You asked for Earth's attention. Now you have it. The Zethar crew realized something terrifying. This was not a patrol. This was a response force. And Earth did not send such a force unless provoked. The Zethar crew stood like statues as the human fleet formed a massive wall of steel and light around them. No ship drifted even a meter off formation. Every movement was exact, controlled, and practiced millions of times. It was clear this was not humanity's first confrontation. Commander Varen tried to steady his voice. "Open a channel. We must explain. If we do not..." He was interrupted by another transmission. Not a voice this time. A presence. A hologram flickered into existence in the center of the Zethar bridge. A tall human figure wrapped in a dark cloak. Face hidden behind a metallic mask marked with the crest of the Supreme Council. Every Zethar officer stepped back in fear. The masked figure spoke, the voice cold and powerful. "You sent a signal to Earth without clearance. The galaxy knows the rules. You have violated them. Varen felt his throat tighten. We meant no harm. It was a research hail. Your intention is irrelevant. The voice cut in sharply. The Council does not tolerate intrusions. A wave of static swept across the ship as human scanners penetrated every system. Files, logs, blueprints. Nothing was hidden. The Zether computers flickered helplessly under the pressure. How are they doing this? Whispered an officer. The Supreme Council has access to pathways beyond your understanding, the hologram replied, as if reading their thoughts. Then the figure raised a hand, activating a projection around them. It showed hundreds of alien fleets across history, destroyed or forced into peace, because they dared interfere with Earth. This is our record, the figure said. Humanity is peaceful until provoked. The hologram stepped closer, its mass face inches from Varen. You woke us. The bridge fell silent. And now, the voice continued, the Supreme Council must decide what to do with you. Lights dimmed. Power dropped. Judgment had begun. Commander Varen felt the air turn heavier as the hologram's presence lingered. Every console on the bridge dimmed to minimum power, running only on emergency lines. Human control was absolute. The Zether ship was no longer a vessel. It was a prisoner. But then something unexpected happened. The hologram shifted, revealing a star map. Not their sector, not any known frontier. It was a forgotten region, buried deep in the dark between galaxies. This, the masked figure said, is where humanity has been. The crew stared in disbelief. The map revealed massive structures, ring-shaped fortresses, hidden shipyards, entire defense networks pulsing like living giants. These stations were built after the Silent War. The hologram continued. Humanity withdrew from the galaxy, not because we were weak, but because we needed to prepare. Prepare for what? Varen whispered. The hologram turned its head slowly, as if acknowledging the question. For something far worse than you. An uneasy chill spread across the room. For centuries, the figure said, the Supreme Council watched the galaxy from the shadows. We saw alliances rise, empires fall, and new species explore the void. We remained silent because silence kept the galaxy safe. The crew exchanged terrified looks. Your hail broke that silence. Suddenly, the map zoomed in closer. The defensive rings trembled as a massive signal pulsed from their center. A heartbeat, a warning. Varen felt dread fill his chest. Something is coming from that region? Yes, the hologram replied. Something that even the Supreme Council cannot allow to roam free. The star map vanished. The masked figure leaned forward, voice darkening. And by contacting Earth, you have alerted it. The crew froze. You did not just call humanity, the hologram said. You called our enemy. A cold shock ran through the Zether crew as the hologram's final words echoed across the bridge. They had expected anger from Earth, but not this. Not a hidden enemy powerful enough to frighten the Supreme Council itself. Commander Varen stepped forward, voice trembling. What enemy? What have we awakened? The masked figure slowly turned its head, and the surrounding starfield display flickered to life again. This time, it showed a dark shape moving through space, a massive, shifting shadow, like a creature made of void and gravity. This entity, the hologram said, was sealed away by humanity ages ago. It feeds on energy, absorbs stars, and consumes entire systems. We locked it behind dimensional gates where no signal could reach it. The shadow pulsed, bending light around it like a living black hole. Your hail to Earth passed directly through a dormant gate, the hologram continued. Your message was harmless, but the energy signature was not. It was enough to stir the entity. The Zether crew watched in horror as the shadow drifted closer to familiar star routes. It is moving again, the hologram said, slowly but deliberately. An officer covered her mouth. Are we responsible for the awakening? The masked figure did not answer. That silence was worse than any confirmation. Outside the window, the human fleet began shifting positions. Dreadnoughts formed defensive lines. Stealth cruisers vanished into cloaking patterns. Carrier ships opened massive bay doors, releasing swarms of automated drones like glowing insects. This is more than a response, Varen whispered. This is a war formation. The hologram finally spoke again. Humanity never wanted to return to the center of the galaxy, but now we must. The lights brightened. Alarms sounded across the Zeta vessel. The human voice grew deeper. And you, Zeta Dominion, will help us contain what you have awakened. The bridge fell silent. The shadow in the display pulsed. And it was getting closer. The Zeta crew stared at the growing shadow on the display, their hearts pounding. The entity moved like a living storm, silent, slow, but unstoppable. Stars dimmed as it passed. Entire clusters flickered like dying candles. Commander Varen gathered his remaining courage. If we cause this, then we must help stop it. For the first time, the hologram's mask tilted, as if acknowledging his resolve. Then listen carefully, the Supreme Council's envoy said. Your vessel will be integrated into the human command net. You will follow every instruction without delay. If you hesitate even once, the entity will breach into your systems and drain your entire ship. The Zeta crew nodded rapidly. They understood. Suddenly, the entire human fleet shifted. Dreadnoughts aligned into a spearhead formation. Destroyers created layered shields. Drone swarms activated luminous barriers that shimmered across the darkness. The sky filled with light, like a second galaxy forming from metal. A deep vibration spread across space. The entity had arrived. Its form twisted into impossible shapes, as though space itself was melting. The front line of drones fired first, their beams piercing the void. But instead of taking damage, the entity absorbed the attacks like warm breath on cold glass. Then it retaliated. A wave of gravitational force slammed across the fleets. Zeta officers were thrown to the floor. Human shields flickered. Several drones were crushed instantly, flattened into dust. Commander Varen struggled to rise. How do we fight something that cannot be harmed? You do not harm it, the hologram replied. You contain it. Human dreadnoughts opened their core reactors, releasing beams of pure dimensional energy, technology no other species possessed. The entity shrieked, its form twisting violently. Slowly, painfully, it began collapsing inward. The Supreme Council's voice echoed through every ship. Hold the line. This is our only chance. With a final burst of blinding light, the gate reactivated, and the entity was forced back into its prison. Silence returned. The human envoy spoke one last time. Remember this day. You called us and we answered. The fleet vanished into the void, leaving the galaxy speechless. Earth had returned.